Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. If this is your first time watching this video, subscribe to my channel for upcoming videos. Today we are learning about abnormal gait. Abnormal gait or a walking abnormality is when a person is unable to walk in a usual way. This is maybe due to the injuries, underlying condition or a problem with the legs and feet. There are mainly five basic types of abnormal gait: neurological gait, muscular weakness gait, joint or muscular limitation gait, leg length discrepancy gait, and painful gait. In neurological gait, first Parkinson's gait, second hemiplegic gait, third ataxic gait, and fourth scissoring gait. First, Parkinson's gait. This gait is also known as shuffling gait, festinate gait, or fascinating gait. The patient adopts the flexed posture of the neck, trunk, hip, and knee due to the rigidity of the muscles. Because of flexed posture, the COG fall down anteriorly. The initiation of movement also difficult by the patient to chase the COG and to keep it in some position and regain the balance. The patient tends to have the repeat shuffling gait. The patient will have short step, lack of heel strike and toe off, loss of arm swinging and lack of pelvic rotation. In this gait, heel strike is absent. So toe strike first hence called as toe heel gait. This type of gait may be seen in the Parkinson's disease, Wilson disease, and cerebral atherosclerosis. So this is a video of Parkinson gait pattern. You can see the heel strike is totally absent. Second, hemiplegic gait. The patient rotates the hip sideways during the swing phase due to the hip flexor tightness and place the foot in the flattened manner. There is an absence of heel strike due to the plantar flexor contracture. Upper limb is flexed in the affected side. Steps are lengthened towards the affected side comparatively with the unaffected side. And this gait is also known as circumduction gait. You can see the pelvis on affected side is lifted vertically, asymmetric limb length due to the knee hyperextension, and step length is reduced. Third, ataxic gait. There are two types of ataxic gaits are seen. First, cerebellar ataxic gait and second, sensory ataxic gait. Cerebellar ataxic gait. Hypotonia and the ataxic gait are the main features of the cerebellar lesion. There will be the lacking of coordinated movement. This gait is also known as drunkard gait and reeling gait. The patient is sway here and there without stability and the balance. If the patient is having one side cerebellar lesion, shows the lesion side swaying and normal walking pattern in the normal side. In this video, you can see the patient is walking like a drunken man. The patient is swaying here and there. Sensory ataxic gait. It can be seen in the TAPS dorsalis, diabetes mellitus, leprosy, and syringomyelia. The patient raises the foot in the air through the forward in uncertain manner and stamp on the foot slowly due to the lack of kinesthetic sensation. The gait pattern looks like spacewalk. You can see in the video how the patient foot rises on the air and step on the floor slowly. Fourth, scissoring gait. It is seen in the cerebral palsy and in exaggerated form of paraplegia. The legs are crossing each other while walking due to the adductor tightness. The knee might be flexed in the spastic diaplegia is called as couch gait. During the swing phase of one lower extremity, cross the stance leg. This gait is also known as crossed leg gait. You can see how the patient is walking with the cross leg. That's why it's called as cross leg gait. So up till here, we are discuss about neurological gait. In neurological gait, Parkinson gait, hemiplegic gait, ataxic gait and scissoring gait we are cover. Next is muscular weakness gait. First, gluteus medius gait. Second, gluteus maximus gait. Third, quadriceps gait. Fourth, high stepping gait. And fifth, genu recurvatum gait. Gluteus medius gait. If one side of gluteus medius is paralyzed, then it will be resulting Trendelenburg gait. But if both sides of gluteus medius will be paralyzed, that result in duck walking gait. Trendelenburg gait. During the swing phase of one lower extremity, the opposite side of hip abductor help to prevent the tilting of pelvis of swinging extremity. Weakness or paralysis of right side gluteus medius result in pelvic drop over the left side while going for the swing phase. So, the patient while walking bends his trunk towards the paralyzed side. Duck walking gait. When both the abductors of hip paralyzed, the patient bend his trunk laterally towards the stance phase. Lower extremity whenever the same side lower extremity goes for swing phase. To prevent the overdropping of pelvis and clears the foot from the ground. This adjustment made by the patient. Both side lurching of the trunk happens while walking is called as duck walking or waddling gait. You can see how the patient is walking like duck. That's why it's called as duck walking gait. Second, gluteus maximus gait. The gluteus maximus causes posterior pelvic tilting gait and shifting the COG towards the stance hip. While the body propels forward during the mid-stance phase, if the gluteus maximus paralyzed, the trunk is lunged posteriorly to cause the posterior tilting and shifting the COG towards the stance hip. So, while walking forward and backward movement of the trunk occur is called as rocking horse gait. You can see the patient is walking like horse. That's why it's called as rocking horse gait. Third, quadriceps gait. This type of gait is possible typically in the patient with the quadriceps paralysis. During the mid-stand, to transmit the weight on the stance lower leg extremity, the knee should be locked. This locking is not possible if the quadriceps is paralyzed, so that the patient himself is locking the knee by placing his hand above the knee joint. You can see how the patient is locking his knee himself. High stepping gait. During the heel strike, the ankle goes for the dorsiflexion. If the dorsiflexors are paralyzed, the plantar flexors overact. During heel strike, due to the foot drop, the toes goes and contact the ground first. To avoid this, the patient flexes his hip and raises the foot and slap on the floor forcibly. It is seen in some neurological conditions like polioneuritis, muscular dystrophies, and peroneal muscle atrophy. In some exception cases, the patient started walking with the dragging the toes on the floor without flexing hip and raising the foot, called as dragging gait. Fifth, genu recurvatum gait. If the hamstring muscle paralyzes, the knees go for the hyperextension in the midstand while transmitting the weight through the stance leg. The knee goes for hyperextension due to the lack of counteraction of hamstring muscle. And also during the late stage of swing phase, slowing of swing due to the hamstring paralysis and the knee will snap into the extension. It is commonly seen in the polio patient. You can see the patient leg or knee is in fully hyperextension. Here we end up with the muscular weakness gait. Third type of abnormal gait is joint or muscular limitation gait. First, toe tip gait, second, calcaneal gait, and third, stiff knee gait. First, toe tip gait. Foot remain in plantar flexion due to the contracture of plantar flexor or maybe due to the paralysis of dorsiflexors, so that the patient walk on the toe tip and the ball of the metatarsals. This type of gait can be seen in some neurological condition like DMD and spastic diplegia. Second, calcaneal gait. Contracture of dorsiflexor or paralysis of plantar flexor may cause the stable dorsiflexed foot. So while walking, there is absence of foot flat, mid-stand, toe off stages. Instead of the patient walk with heel or the calcaneum. This type of gait is said to be calcaneal gait. Third, stiff knee gait. Normally during the early stage of swing phase, the knee should be go for flexion to clear the foot from the ground. If the knee is stiff, the patient hides the hip and clears the foot from the floor and swing sideways with the hip circumduction of abduction to propel the limb forward to reach the heel strike. This type of gait is called as circumduction gait or hip abductor gait. Fourth abnormal gait type is leg length discrepancy. When the leg length differences is half inch, it can be negligible and it may be compensated by the pelvic tilt while walking. If the shortening of the leg goes up to 1.5 inch, it can be adjusted with slight equinus position. Meanwhile, if the shortening is more than 2 inches, lead to marked pelvic tilt and equinus deformity at the foot. Type of gait is called as equinus gait. Fifth abnormal gait type is painful or antalgic gait. When the patient has pain over the joint of lower extremity to avoid to stand on the involved side. So the time taken for the stance phase on the involved side shortens and shorten step length, shorten reciprocal arm swing, shorten stride length, increase velocity of step also can be noticed. The patient limps while transmitting weight over the involved side, so it may be called as limping gait. Here we are ended up with all the types of abnormal gait. Thank you. Subscribe my channel, like it, share it and tap the bell icon for upcoming videos.